Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.
Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. Unfortunately, it is real, viewers, the stigma associated with COVID-19 or coronavirus. India has been fighting the COVID-19 pandemic rather well, but we have a lot to go as a nation and society in our fight against stigma associated with the disease. Take the case of the 69-year-old Dr. Silo, the medical director of Shillong's Bethany Hospital, who passed away due to COVID. Now the family planned to bury him at his own farm in Nongpu. The local Darbar Shnong, or the traditional body, opposed. Then there was a plan to cremate the body at the electric crematorium at Barapatar in Shillong. A large number of locals defied the curfew and came out to the streets ignoring all social distancing norms and protested. Finally, the body was buried at a Presbyterian church cemetery at Laumali. Viewers, where has humanism disappeared? False beliefs about the virus infecting people if the body was cremated or buried at a particular place was so strong that people lost their power of reasoning or humane values. This in 21st century India, and in a place, Meghalaya, considered liberal and the seat of the so-called rock music. But yes, right-thinking people of Shillong and Meghalaya as a whole have condemned such behavior of some. The matter reached the High Court, which has directed the Meghalaya government to take stern action against all those who obstructed the last rites of the doctor, and asked the state to create enough awareness about the burial or cremation norms of COVID patients. Not just these, viewers. Doctors have been attacked in different parts of India just because some ignorant, unreasonable people think they would carry the virus and infect them. What's going on? If the stigma persists, or if the stigma spreads like the virus itself, people will not come forward to report to the health authorities, even if they have symptoms of the disease. This will be more dangerous than fighting the coronavirus itself. To debate the issue, I am joined from Shillong by John Karshian, chairman of the Grand Council of Chiefs, a platform of traditional bodies. Also with me from Shillong is Patricia Mukim, editor of the Shillong Times, a vocal commentator. Joining me again from Shillong is Larsing Ming Sawan. Larsing Ming Sawan is a well-known business leader. At the studios in Guwahati, I have Dr. Madhumita Priyadarshini Das, professor of medicine at the Guwahati Medical College, and Dr. Sangeeta Datta, a well-known psychiatrist. And from Imphal, I am joined by Khuraizam Athoba, Secretary General of the United Committee Manipur, a very well-known civil society group. But before we begin the discussion, let's listen in to Meghalaya Health Minister A.L. Heck, who warned that the state government will not tolerate any opposition to burials or cremation of COVID victims in future. Let's listen in to Meghalaya Health Minister A.L. Heck.
This is the state of affairs happening yesterday. It is a shame, I have told you. Actually, I have told we are government on need to apply the Epidemic Act, and nobody we should allow to interfere with the affair of the government. Any decision we are taking for the betterment of the people and the citizens of our state, and we will not allow this kind of inhuman happening in future in our state.
All right, will not be tolerated. No such kind of interference will be tolerated in the coming days. That is the clear message from Meghalaya Health Minister A.L. Heck. But Mr. John Karshian, a clear case of stigma displayed during the burial of Meghalaya's first COVID patient, Dr. Saidlo. Are you yourself surprised or not, Mr. John Karshian?
First of all, we take this opportunity to express our condolences to the bereaved family. I knew Dr. Saito also very well. And we are extremely upset that this incident has happened. We don't have much details, but from what we can see in the media, this is I guess there must have been a serious lapse of communication in the process of trying to complete the rituals, or to complete the cremation or the burial of Dr. Silo.
But the impression I'm getting, Mr. John Karshing, are you trying to blame the state government for the communication gap? First, it was the Dorbar Shnong of Nongpo, which opposed the burial on Dr. Silo's own farm in Nongpo, and then the opposition to the cremation plan by the Dorbar Shnong of Jhalupara. Mr. Karshing.
As what has happened is, suddenly there's this news of, while people have gone through a lockdown period for a long time, and then there were great expectations that given Meghalaya was didn't have any COVID patient, that, on 13th, everybody is eagerly waiting for the relaxation or exemptions on the 15th. But to everyone's, shock and horror, that a COVID patient turned out to be Dr. Silo on the 13th. And strangely, early morning hours of 14th, he expires.
Let's have the proper visuals of Dr. Silo's cremation.
This creates widespread panic. You won't believe it. My phones were all jammed. People calling from all over the place. So what I'm trying to say is the reaction of the Dorbashnong of Nongpo. I can imagine that, I'm not sure whether they even, there was communication from we don't have the exact details so far.
Yeah.
But I'm very glad to see that, the CM of Nongpo, the Sardar of Nongpo, has come out with a statement,
Okay, but
the Ilaka chief.
What is the statement? What is the statement, Mr. John Karshing? What is the statement?
Yeah, his statement was that, expressing regret that such an incident had happened with a decision made by the Darbar of Nongpo. So these are decisions conducted at the ground level, which are pretty sensitive issues. Some kind of awareness should have happened, no? Some kind of interaction, engagement should have taken place.
Okay, let me go to John Karshing. Stay on, Mr. Larsing Ming. It's shocking. The entire nation is shocked, because when we talk about Shillong or when we talk about Meghalaya, it is generally been seen as an extremely, liberal society, highly educated people, cultured people. But, a lot of people are shocked at the behavior, at the way the people opposed the last rites. And it is definitely a case of stigma, but perhaps it is also lack of total ignorance, lack of awareness. Now, instead of blaming the government or blaming the Dorbar Shnongs, what is your first reaction, Mr. Larsing Ming?
Yes, I think it was an extremely unfortunate incident. And I think Meghalaya, for us, we were already past over 2 weeks of the lockdown. And for a long time till this case happened, which was over 14 days since the lockdown happened, I think, there was a sense of feeling that perhaps, things are going to be okay in Meghalaya. But I think the time from when this case was announced to the time when, unfortunately, Dr. John's demise, I think there was hardly 72 hours plus. So I think in that moment of 2-3 days, there was a lot of panic within Shillong and the state as a whole.
True.
And unfortunately, I think in that moment of panic, a lot of unfortunate decisions were made, both from the Darbar Shnong of Nongpo side, as well as the localities in Jhalupara, obviously suffering from a state of panic and lack of knowledge. And really, really unfortunate what transpired.
But I want to know, there were a lot of people condemned the incident. You also condemned on the social media. Now, what was your expectation? How could this thing have been handled? How should this issue could have been handled better?
In retrospect, it's very easy to, start making a lot of statements on how these things could have been handled. But unfortunately, what has happened has happened. I'm sure going forward, luckily there is the intervention of the High Court. There is the statement made by the Health Minister. There was a statement made by the Vice President of India. It's reached till that level. So I know we need to look forward. Unfortunately, at that point of time, even all the family members, this is a very unique case because all the close family members, all the children, the wife, I think the two sons as well, they were all or had also tested positive by then. So, there was a kind of, even within the family, besides suffering from a state of shock, I think it would have been very difficult for them to have really, communicated too much with other people.
Yes, I'm also being joined by the editor of the Shillong Times, Miss Patricia Mukim. Patricia Mukim, welcome. Patricia, shocking incident. We are talking about stigma. How do you explain this phenomena, stigma? Do you think that is now becoming a bigger problem to handle than the coronavirus, the virus itself? And what is it that you have to say from the Shillong example, the delay in the burial of Dr. Silo? Patricia Mukim.
Well, see, stigma comes from fear. There's so much of fear and paranoia. People don't know how this virus spreads, what it can do, and they, till date, there is no evidence, the concrete evidence that the virus doesn't spread through dead bodies. I mean, at least the WHO has not ruled that out. It has said that there is no evidence as such to say that the virus can affect another person from the dead body of somebody who dies of COVID.
Right, but how do
so because this is such an unknown phenomena.
Unknown phenomena, but what about the people's reaction? People violating the curfew, people coming out, and what do you have to say about the role of the state actually?
No, that is where the problem lies. Here, it seems that the state has really abdicated its authority to the mob. It was a mob that came out, and you have the police with you. You're supposed to sanitize that place before the cremation so that the cremation can go on without any melee. But that was not allowed to happen. There were different groups saying different things, and the situation just went out of control. So if you ask me, there was a law and order defect there. And because, the role of the district magistrate is twofold. One is during times of, as they say, disaster. In a disaster, you have to follow certain protocols. Then also, there are other roles that they have to play, like crisis management. In crisis management, you also have to have a set of protocols, a set of standard operating procedures, which I think has not been put in place for the simple reason that the death occurred too quickly. The patient was detected a day before, and by the next day, the patient had died. So there was not sufficient time to even educate people about the need to not fear that somebody is going to be cremated there, and that that the virus might escape or whatever.
Right.
These are things that should have been put in place.
Absolutely, these are things that should have been put in place.
But I would like to.
Yes, Patricia, carry on.
No, I want to speak also about the Nongpo incident. Yeah, I want to speak about the Nongpo incident. At first, the family wanted to bury their father at Nongpo. And Nongpo is the place where Bethany Hospital has an outreach program. Bethany has been serving that place for several years. Now, just because out of ignorance, the Darbar Shillong says that they will not allow the body to be buried there, and the Deputy Commissioner just gave in. How can that be possible? The Darbar Shillong normally comes under the purview of the District Council. This is where the problem lies. We do not know how the Darbar Shillongs and the district administration or the government interface. Each one seems to be like a standalone institution. To me, the Darbar Shillong is more like an extra constitutional authority. It comes from tradition, it comes from legacy. But the way it is placed today, we don't know where it stands. We don't know its territorial constitutional jurisdiction. And this, I think, is very problematic and has to be sorted out if we don't want similar incidents in future.
I will take that question to John Kharshing in a minute. Quickly go to Imphal. Khuraizam Athoba, you see, Khuraizam, basically, the impression one is getting that it is only the responsibility of the government to create awareness. What about civil societies like you people? Civil society is not seen to be educating the people on the do's and don'ts of COVID or on stigma. Now, you have seen the front line. We have 2 doctors on the panel. They will be speaking. But my question is, a lot of doctors in different parts of the country are being attacked. I'm not talking only about Manipur. I'm talking generally, Khuraizam. Point is, it is civil societies also have the responsibility to come out to the streets, educate the people, but we have not seen, unfortunately, much being done by the civil society, only blaming the government.
Wasbir, yeah, it is really unfortunate what happened to, Dr. Sailo's last rites. And what you have just, mentioned about the role of civil society in making the people aware of the, these COVID-19 issues and its effect, like social, discrimination, stigma and all. Of course, in Manipur, we have been working on, in grassroots level to communicate with the people and make them understand. And, we have been strictly endorsing the advisories issued by the government from time to time. And we are coordinating with the state government as well. Today itself, we have also already submitted a charter of, suggestions and our, seeking cooperations from the government itself that we civil society is also now coming out on the field to, deal the matters. Even though not the technical part, we are also taking part in various other issues like you have just mentioned about the, social stigma, social distancings and many other government advisories which the public often fails to comply.
That is the way to...
We are working on, we are working on, yeah.
That is the way to go. I think more better coordination. I think the government should also reach out to the non-government organizations and the civil society to work together.
Exactly,
Khuraizam,
exactly.
I'm coming back to you. Dr. Madhumita, let's deviate a little bit from the Shillong incident. You see, a lot of cases of doctors being attacked. We have seen visuals in the social media of a doctor coming back to her apartment after 2-3 days, tired, and the neighboring flat owner, her flatmate rather, is refusing to allow her to come to her own apartment. Now, and that is one aspect. Second aspect, the COVID-19, there are a lot of cases in India, a lot of patients are recovering and they are going back to their homes. Now, there are also instances when the villages are absolutely ignorant. They are not treating some of these people well. I'm not talking about Assam. Assam has been a different story. Madhumita.
Yes, thank you, Wasbir, for asking me this question and giving me a chance to talk about it. Especially in our state of Assam, I don't see any reason why we should be aware that a stigma is being generated. I don't think so. Look at our health minister. He is right in the front of this battle. Every single patient who's being discharged, he's going and visiting them. He's going and visiting them in the quarantine centers. He's trying to give that message strong, loud and clear that these patients do not carry a stigma. Once they're cured, they're completely cured and they're out of it. They're just what you and I am. So I think whatever else is happening elsewhere is a fallout of ignorance. I don't think our state has any such thing brewing at the moment.
Okay, so that these are visuals on the screen, viewers, of the health minister. Actually, let me tell you that the health minister has been visiting each and every hospital from where the COVID positive patients are being discharged. he is even sitting close to them, talking close to them from close proximity, giving them gifts and sending them home. I think there is a subtle message that he is trying to send out, that when you go back to the villages, this message is for the other people in the villages and the vicinity, that there is no need to ostracize them or be scared of them. Now, Dr. Sangeeta Datta, why do people behave in this manner in this kind of situations? Why is this paranoia? Why is this stigma?
It's primarily because of lack of awareness or ignorance. That's number one. And number two is that when the way COVID-19 has been killing people, creating havoc in the society,
right.
It has created panic in the minds of people. So when people are in a state of panic, their usual general faculties like the ability to judge and reason, to take right decisions, these are impaired. So sometimes even later when people regret that we shouldn't have done this, but sometimes people do that because they are totally in a state of panic. Yeah. That is one thing, and
but let me also bring
to
your notice, Dr. Sangeeta, is that these kind of incidents are happening in different parts of the world. It's not that it's happened in Shillong or in different parts of India. We look at the case how people behaved in Egypt or Israel for that matter.
Exactly.
Yes. Carry on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there definitely is stigma attached to COVID-19. Undoubtedly, stigma is there. There is discrimination, and it is primarily because of lack of awareness. It is primarily because of ignorance, and it is also because of some false, notions and rumors which has been spread by different kinds of people. So that is there. And what my previous panelist has talked about, our health minister, he has been a role model indeed. But how many people have been intelligent enough to pick up this message? Because this is a very subtle way of sending a message to the society.
Very subtle way, very rightly said,
Yes.
subtle message to society. When the health minister visits a patient, health minister is not at all necessary to be present during the send-off.
Yes.
But today, just a little while ago, a couple of hours back, the COVID patient was released at the Silchar Medical College Hospital, and Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma was present there to see that person off. Now, he's taking all the trouble, including his deputy, to go there and see him off. This is a subtle message. Larsing Ming, I'm coming to you, Ms. Patricia Mukim. Larsing, the Shillong incident, that again exposed the level of ignorance in the society. Now, do you agree that, along with measures to fight the disease medically, a lot of societal movement in the society is necessary, for which the traditional bodies have to work together with the government?
No, yes, absolutely.
There are a lot of institutions.
Patricia, Patricia, please hold
NGOs.
on. Patricia, this question, I'm coming to you. Yes, Larsing, go on. Larsing, go on.
Yeah, yes, what we've got to realize is that we are in the middle of a huge pandemic. Perhaps something like this has not happened in over a century. And in times like these, one should not only look at the government or certain institutions. I think it's a time for the entire society as a whole to really stand up and play a role in working together towards overcoming this major pandemic. So yes, we shouldn't only look at government. Government obviously has the fundamental and primary role, but civil society as a large, not only traditional institutions, but civil society as a large, general people as a large, everyone must take responsibility at this point of time.
Now, Patricia Mukim, right. Hold your thoughts, Larsing. I'm coming to you. Ms. Patricia Mukim, do you get an impression, see, generally, I'm not asking only about Meghalaya. Do you get an impression that government has generally failed to involve the civil society in a well-coordinated manner? Will it be correct to assume that?
I think so. Yeah, I think so, because I think we should have had a high-level body involving people from government, civil society, doctors, scientists, and all kinds, so we can all each play our roles. Government could have called and said, okay, we want to call you, we want to know what do you bring to the table. And each one can say what they can do best. And Meghalaya, you need to use the faith-based institutions. They have a captive audience Sunday after Sunday. They were preaching through their loudspeakers, or they were preaching through through YouTube and all, the Easter message. They can use the same format to spread awareness on COVID, and what happens, what are the do's, what are the don'ts. Why don't they do that? Why only preaching?
Now, before coming to my panelists in the studio, Athoba, in the last 3 weeks, has the government of Manipur held any meeting with any civil society group discussing these issues, how to communicate with the people? Were you present in any meeting with the state government?
Yeah, actually, the government has already, I think 2 weeks back, the government has already issued an open invitation inviting all the CSOs, NGOs, and any group who are willing to, coordinate with the state government.
Invitation is fine. Yes, Khuraizam, invitation is okay.
After that,
yeah, carry on.
Yeah. After that, we already had a meeting with, health minister. We had a meeting with honorable chief ministers as well, and we are chalking out certain, new design, incorporating the local bodies. So that we can coordinate with the state and make it more effective. We are trying to use the entire local network.
Now you see, there is hardly any time to work out and fine tune a strategy. You have to immediately swing into action. That is what is necessary. Action on the ground. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 days. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 days, we'll be seeing that in Manipur from where we can pick up. Now, Dr. Madhumita,
Definitely.
What are some of the frontline doctors? What could be going on in their mind? Number one, it's not an easy task. You see, first of all, you are putting your life, to the service of humanity, to the service of the patient. Your first priority is to save and protect and treat the patient. Then, if the doctor has to think about what is going to happen to him, whether he will be able to come back home, how will the neighbors react, whether he'll be bitten up by people, whether people will be afraid that he will be getting the virus. I mean, you cannot afford to have this kind of feeling in your mind. What could be, from a doctor's point of view, what could be going on in a doctor's mind?
That's very unfortunate that some of the doctors have had to face this ground reality. Yes, when you are working with the patient, especially now that our government is giving us full protection kits, and you have everything in hand to face the crisis. In the hospital, at your place of work, you're working wholeheartedly. But once you're out, and if you have to face this kind of a gun, which I'm sure not all of us are doing, it's really unfortunate. And I think it's a fallout of ignorance. If we sensitize the society more about the kind of the disease that we are handling and about its spread, maybe people will empathize more with the doctor who's giving his life, he's risking his or her life for the greater interest of mankind.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Sangeeta, I'll have to go for a break, but before that, very quickly, you see, what could be the stress level? You see, what Ms. Patricia Mukim said, what Larsing Ming said, that, the reaction of the people in Shillong could be the result of, maximum panic. Yes. Because they were not faced this kind of a situation before. That is one side of the story. Let's talk, you are a doctor, you are a psychiatrist as well. My question is, what is the stress level of doctors in this kind of situations? Because many of them in the Northeast, or I would say all of them in the Northeast, may have never faced a pandemic like this before, a disease, a virus, so infectious, so contagious.
Absolutely. Stress levels are extremely high. But having said that, the sense of duty in most of them, I would say most of them, is so strong that they have been managing and coping with their own stress, and they have been delivering their duties to their best possible, extent and to their best abilities. So that is there. But this needs to be appreciated because, what is a doctor's motivation in such a situation? Only when people in the society appreciate what they do, that's their biggest reward. Because I'm sure they're not doing this for money. Nobody would risk their lives for the sake of money that they get. And apart from that, we have to remember that every doctor is a human being. They have families back at home. They have children. So you don't know when a doctor goes out to work and to take care of the COVID-19 cases or patients, then you don't know about the situation at home, whether their children had cried and whether their wives had, resisted this or whatever. So they've had to face situations also at home, because you cannot expect all the family members to be very logical.
Right.
But they have outgrown all this.
Yeah.
They have transcended all this, and because of their sense of duty and dedication, and they have gone out to work. So please empathize with them, and please understand that they've been taking precautions because their lives are precious.
Absolutely.
The families' lives are precious.
Absolutely.
And they're working for the community.
I'll have to go for a short break.
Yes.
Don't go away, viewers. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back, John Karsing. The impression I'm getting is that you are holding the state government responsible for everything, including awareness. But don't you think the Dorbar Shnongs, which are highly respected bodies, needs to work together with the state government to create awareness and things like that? Because if you look at the High Court ruling, the Shillong Meghalaya Bar Association or the Shillong Bar Association had filed that PIL, and we have seen the High Court saying that these Dorbar Shnongs, which are very well respected bodies, instead of resolving the problem, they have become added to the problems because of their stand. So what is your take on that? Do you think you have a role to play there, John Karsing?
You see, I'm not trying to. There is no excuse. I must admit, there is no excuse to what has happened. It is really, really appalling and unfortunate. But we all know that again, I'm trying to say that, we don't have the exact details, and we're just gathering whatever we can listen on the TV channels or YouTube and stuff like that. The reality is, as it happened in Jalupara, people were not against the cremation. People wanted those who would be working, those who would be doing the job, to be well protected with all those suits and those masks, which apparently I think were not available at that point of time. That is what I'm reading on the news. Again, in Nongpo, what I'm trying to say is, you see, for the last many days, the awareness that has happened is about wash your hands, keep yourself clean, all that. How this disposal of a COVID patient should happen, that information, it's like the Dorbar Shnong sat on their own and were trying to figure out whether this is safe or not safe. So I think, it requires some technical people to be able to go and explain to them, okay, this is the kind of a game. I mean.
Now, Miss Patricia Mukim, now some bark has to stop somewhere, the bark has to stop somewhere. The traditional bodies are saying that, the information flow was low. The state government said, oh, we are doing our best. Now, but imagine, let's look at the headlines, which has been some of the headlines. Before you comment, Kong Patricia, let's look at the headlines. Yes, these are the headlines, including headline in your paper, the Shillong Times. These are the headlines. Let's have it big on the screen. Let's have Patricia Mukim on the screen. Yes, these are the headlines. See, these are the headlines, viewers. HC pulls up government, that is the Shillong Times headline. There are other headlines. COVID-19 stigma is a major roadblock in India. COVID-19 scared locals halt doctors' last rites in Meghalaya. Stigma hampers Iraq's effort to fight. So these are some of the headlines. Patricia Mukim, yes. Let's have everybody on the screen. Yes, Patricia.
Yeah, see, the thing is, now there's a lot of blame game going on. Today in our paper, as you can see, the Deputy Commissioner said they blamed the Darbar Shillong. The Darbar Shillong blamed the deputy commissioner and said we were never informed that that burying a COVID patient who's dead is not going to infect the whole population. So you can go about this blame game now, but I hope that we will, instead of blaming anyone, now it's time to take stock of the situation and gear ourselves up for, if God forbid there are more deaths. So we shouldn't be facing the same situation again. And today, a group of doctors, having seen all this, said they have made an appeal and they've said, look, don't blame anyone, don't blame government, don't blame whoever, but do these 4 things for us. We ask you to please volunteer, to donate, to support and to share. And I must say that if you speak about civil society, in Meghalaya, civil society has been coming out to share, to give out food, to give cooked food, to give rations. They have been doing their part with or without government telling them. Now the point is that we were doing all that, but there were very few perhaps who got into the business of awareness creation, which actually is a very, very vital part of this whole thing.
Right. I'm coming to both Khuraizam Athoba and as well as Larsing Ming, but quickly to you, John Kharshing, the incident has been flashed all around the national media. What kind of an impact it must have had on society? Now, my question is not that. Let's forget the blame game. Now, how can you contribute in creating the awareness? You are the chairman of the Grand Council of Chiefs. It's a traditional body. Now, my question is very, very simple. How can you contribute in, helping the people, creating awareness? John Kharshing. Very quickly.
You see, Wasbir, in the middle of all this, you must also know, your viewers should know, that a number of Darbar Shillong came out instantly to offer place for burial. Darbar Shillong Marukanang, in fact, his own locality, Dr. Silo's locality, Darbar Shillong of Nangram Hills, they said we are allowing him to, if the family would like, they can bury it in their own, they'll organize the burial within the locality also. So many localities have also offered instantly. And as we all know now, that even the church authorities, various faiths have also come forward and said, okay, we'll facilitate.
Right. Now, Larsing, what is the road ahead? Because, there are also positives. Let's not forget that. The church, the Presbyterian church in Laumali came out, offered their premises for the burial, offered their cemetery for the burial. At the end of the day, there are reasonable people.
Yes, I think whatever has happened, it's a lesson for all of us. One is from the existing problems that we have. Let's hope that governments, not only in our state, but across the country, have taken cognizance of what has happened here, and we prepare ourselves for eventualities elsewhere so that, such things do not happen going forward. And one thing we must learn also from society, what society has to learn from this incident is that there's a lot of retrospection that we internally have to do, because this, in a way, at the end of the day, when push came to shove, unfortunately, a lot of us have taken the wrong decisions.
Right.
As pointed out correctly, eventually a lot of people came together, a lot of faiths came together, various organizations to lend support and help and alternatives. But there is a lot of retrospection, both from society's perspective as well, that we all have to learn from this particular incident. And thirdly, talking about Meghalaya, it also exposes certain lacunas in the way our administration system is. In management or in governance, a uniform form of command is very important. And if we have too many dualities of structures, sometimes incidents like this tend to happen.
Absolutely.
So this is again this is something that as a state we need to retrospect very, very deeply.
Retrospection need of the hour. Absolutely, yes, you are right, yes. Larsing. Hold your thoughts. I'll come back to you, Athoba. Now let us be honest. Northeast is the only place where every community has a student group. I'm not talking about any particular state, I'm talking generally. Northeast is the only state where every single community has a student group. And every time they are in the news, demanding this, demanding that. But in this kind of a situation, let us be honest, very few student groups have, commented. Very few student groups have offered their help. Don't you think that we expect their role expect them to play a much bigger role than to keep silent and quarantining themselves at home?
Well, you rightly pointed out. You have rightly pointed out, Wasbir, that I think there seems to be a lack of coordination while fighting COVID-19. But if it were a political issue, then definitely there will be hundreds of students' organizations coming out to fight it back. But I think at this time, people seems to be little, I don't know if this is because of the panic factor or because of the lack of awareness of the threat perceptions given by this particular virus, or is it because of the maybe any other factor? But I think this time it's really low that they haven't communicated enough, and we also have a coordinated body of Northeast students organizations like NESO and all. So I think at this kind of very unfortunate situation, they should come out and they should coordinate together and try to find out certain measures where they can
we are asking this question.
They need to be more proactive.
I am asking this question because at least a lot of us have not seen them to be active. Kong Patricia, do you expect would you have expected the student outfits to play a much bigger role? Lakhs of our students are stranded all across India with great difficulty.
Yeah, no, see, before we question the student bodies, I want to question the MLAs. Where have all the 60 MLAs suddenly disappeared? Very few are coming out. And mind you, that Jhalupara area is under a certain MLA. Why couldn't he come out and straighten things there? He is supposed to be one of those very vocal types who said that if the CAA is passed, I will commit suicide. And now suddenly we don't hear even a word from him. And so too the other MLAs. This is a question we've been raising, where are the political entities? Even within the government, you don't see most of the ministers to be active, to be speaking, to be doing their part of. They also have a role in awareness creation. Come on, they should be taking up that responsibility.
Absolutely. We are focused, this is a focused discussion on the stigma, but we can't help few other issues creeping into this discussion. But let us have those visuals of a doctor being attacked, in Nagaland, and very unfortunately, this doctor was attacked by a man in uniform. He was beaten up, assaulted. Assaulted by cops. This is something absolutely avoidable, unexpected, unnecessary. Now, it will be the least we can do is to demand action so that the people do not follow from here. Yes, it is. Let me also put it on record that the doctor and the administration have amicably resolved. The doctor is apparently not pressing this issue. That is what we are getting. We are yet to confirm. Dr. Madhumita, these kind of incidents, don't you think this will give a bad message? And today it is the cops attacking. Tomorrow it will be the common people who will take the law in their own hands.
Absolutely, Wasbir. I feel that all this, whatever we have been discussing all along, the Shillong issue, the doctors being attacked, I think it's all a fallout of ignorance. People are not aware of what the guidelines that have been set by ICMR, by WHO, all that we
let's have that visual slightly, larger on the screen. Let's have Dr. Madhumita, but let's have that increase the size of that visual. That is a doctor in Indore. That is a visual a couple of days ago, attacked by people. Somehow the doctor was saved. Yes, let's come back to the screen. Yes. Yes,
I mean,
carry on.
I think it's all a fallout of ignorance. People are not aware of what's happening. They think there's something very big happening. All of us can die. The doctor who's treating the patient is also a patient maybe. And the person who has died is the source of the virus. A lot of things
Absolutely.
down the line, it's just ignorance. But what I want to give a loud and clear message here is that we are all following guidelines, whether it's inside the hospital, screening the patient, treating the patient, up to the disposal of, or I mean cremation or burial of the body. We have set guidelines. If we follow that, we are safe.
Follow that, we are safe. Dr. Sangeeta, what is it that you want to tell the general people that not to fear about doctors? They are not the people who will spread the virus. If anybody spreads the virus, it will be XYZ anyone. If you are infected, you will spread the virus. But if a normal person, even if you are in the call of duty, you may not infect the virus, because today you are having sophisticated protection gear.
Yes, absolutely. Because when doctors are working for patients in the care of COVID-19 patients, they take all the precautions, they're following all the guidelines so that they don't get the infection. So that way they're keeping themselves safe, and everybody is well trained. So people have to have faith on doctors that these people, the doctor community is actually, you know, they are here to serve us. They're here to treat these patients who have tested positive and who will recover only if the doctors treat them. Now, if people actually start assaulting doctors or attacking doctors, that way doctors' stress levels will go high. They will not feel motivated. They will not feel rewarded. They will rather feel punished.
Absolutely.
For something that they're doing and for which they should have been rewarded.
But that has to stop.
So please don't send this wrong message. And I think people from every walk of life has to do their bit. It has to be a holistic approach.
Now, last question. I'm running short of time. Patricia Mukim, you know, today the district magistrate in Shillong is saying that FIR has been filed against those people who came out on the streets. Now, the High Court has ordered the state government to take stern action. That is the word the High Court used. And today, a little while ago, the district magistrate said that FIR has been lodged. Are you a satisfied citizen of Shillong today just because the authorities have lodged an FIR? Or would you want them to pursue the matter?
No, they should pursue the matter, because it's very easy to file FIRs, and you file an FIR against whom? Against unknown persons, you know?
Yeah.
It's always like that. We've had communal tensions in the past. FIRs have been filed, they're never followed up, and the case doesn't reach anywhere. So it's, you know, it's something that we are so used to seeing. I hope that in this case, they will be able to zero down or zero in on the people who created this chaos.
Right.
But I also want to say one thing, Wasbir, before you close, that we should be using the Doordarshan Kendra for dissemination of information. We should be using the local media every day. Maybe a doctor or two could be speaking to people in simple language, so they know exactly what the disease is, how it spreads, because it needs constant education. You know, you're talking to a whole group of people who are in great fear.
Yeah.
Who've been told all this time that if you come in contact with the person, you might get the disease.
I think it's a very good suggestion, Ms. Patricia Mukim. And, you know, the government of Chief Minister Conrad Sangma, it is not that they are not receptive. And they are also receptive. And I'm sure if anyone in the government is watching the program, they will pick up your suggestion. And from tomorrow, let us hope the government of Meghalaya will pick up your suggestion on this program Notice Tonight and start briefing of the media, the local media, as to the do's and don'ts and regular updates in simple language to the people. Larsing, zeroing in on the people who have created problem is one thing, but what is your appeal to the general people? Because whatever has happened. Now we have a long way to go, because this disease is not going to end overnight. So your last words.
So yes, I think, Wasbir, what is very important is that we all understand the protocols that we have to maintain in terms of social distancing and all the things that we need to do in order to ensure that we don't get infected with this virus. The second stage now, I think, is for all of us to understand that we must not panic. We must remain cool. We must remain calm.
Absolutely.
I understand that.
Absolutely.
I understand that stress levels are high, but
Very
it's
true.
in times like this
Very
that
true.
the calmer
Now,
we are,
let me
the calmer we are, the
absolutely, you're
more
right.
important it is.
Absolutely, Larsing. Now, John Karshing, what is your appeal as the chief of the Grand Council of Chiefs? Larsing. Oh, sorry. This is to John Karsing.
My appeal is for the government authorities to ensure proper dissemination of all the information right to the ground, at the ground zero. I've got reports from the various Rambashnong related to, government had said, okay, we'll help out, all those unemployed people who have been left out of job.
Right.
So around 1,000 rupees per week was being given as assistance. All very good, but then government had put a deadline, a date. And what had happened is a lot of people, in the rural area have not yet even opened a bank account. So
all right.
When they went to open the bank account, then the bank in the rural area said, no, we cannot manage so many people at one time.
These are some of the logistic issues that we have to deal with. A final comment from you, Kuraiza Mathoba, 10 seconds, very quickly.
Well, Wasbir, it is not just the doctors who are in the front line. There are also nurses and paramedical staffs.
Absolutely.
And recently there was an instance, incidents happened in Guwahati where, Manipuri nurses are being attacked by locals. And one of our students' organizations had written, letter to their counterparts in ASU. And they asked them for cooperations and coordination. So right now, we human needs to be more human in dealing this situation, and we need to cooperate and fight together.
I cannot agree with you more.
And we should try
I am absolutely correct. We are all agreeable on this. We cannot. This is something which we all expect. 10 seconds to you, Dr. Madhumita. Very quickly, last words.
I want to tell you this, that people, I don't know why they're generating a stigma against the patient. Once a patient is cured of this disease, they generate antibodies in them. And from that antibodies, you can take the blood out, take the serum, and the plasma can be used for treatment of very critically ill patients.
So simple terms, once the patient is cured, No need to be scared.
Yes.
No need to be scared. I'm absolutely running short of time. Dr. Sangeeta, 10 seconds to you.
In addition to following lockdown, social distancing, and all the guidelines that have been prescribed, I think we need to relearn mutual respect and empathy and be better human beings.
Relearn mutual respect and empathy and be better human beings. I think during this lockdown period, we all can introspect because we all have more time than ever before. So please let us introspect and respect each other, as Kuraizam has said, and be better human beings. On that note, I thank all my panelists for participating in the program and the viewers for watching the show. Good night and goodbye.
Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.